getting the attention of decision makers in foreign markets. This is what we're going to talk about today. And getting the attention of decision makers is always a tough mission. And when you do it in a foreign market where you are unknown, it's sometimes even a little harder. And let's be honest, if you're coming from Serbia, this can be even harder than usual. So we're going to cover this topic today, and I'm going to share with you 6 tactics you can use to get the attention of decision makers and make them listen, really listen to what you have to say. Hi, my name is Moty Sahray. I'm from Israel. I'm the owner of Chub Unicorn. We are a growth agency, which means we help companies grow. And we help companies with their marketing, with their sales. And as a part of that, we help companies break into new markets. So we've been doing this since 2008. I myself, an entrepreneur for a little more than 30 years. And I'm telling you this so you will know that everything I'm going to share with you today is coming from the field. It's coming from the trenches. So we are doing it day in and day out with hundreds of companies now. And these tactics I'm going to show you are a little unorthodox, or the whole approach is a little unorthodox, but it's working. So my request or my suggestion for you is go ahead and try it, even if it seems a little different. Actually, we want it to be different. We'll be talking about it. So we're going to talk about 6 tactics which are actually elements of influence, how we create influence on other people and make them listen to us and hear what we have to say. But before we are going into this, there are 2 things we need to cover first. Okay? So first thing, before we're going to do anything, either if it's getting an investment or if it's pitching a product or a service to some buyer, we need to figure out the numbers. Okay? And the numbers I'm talking about is how much is it worth for us to invest in one new client or one new investor. Okay, so sometimes this calculation has a lot of guessing in it, but even if it's the first time we are doing, even if we are not completely sure about the numbers, first we can do some kind of educated guess, or we can approach some people who already did this and ask them, how much did it cost them? How much was it worth? So let's say I have a new technology and I want people to start using it, and I have to figure out how much income and revenue will one new client create. Okay? And then I figure out how much I want to invest in that. Now, these numbers are really, really, really important, because otherwise we can find ourselves in loss. But this is not the worst part. The worst part is we will not invest enough in this effort to get a new client. So let's say I know I have some new technology I want to offer to some new clients, and I know one client is worth, let's say, 20,000 euros, okay, in revenue, and I know I'm willing to invest 5,000 euros in getting one new client, okay? So this is my plug number. This is the baseline for everything I will do, and I'll explain a little bit forward why this number is really, really, really important, okay? So this is the first thing we need to think about, and then we have to do some intelligence. Now, I'm not talking about like business intelligence. We need to know who are we looking for, who are the people we are looking for, and when we are talking about decision makers, we need to know them as well as we can. Okay, so we need to know who they are. If we can, we need to know who they are personally, if it's possible. Okay, if I know I'm looking for a specific buyer or specific buyers in a certain market, or some investors or some funds, it doesn't matter. I want to know who's on the other side, and I want to gain as much intelligence as I can get. Now, usually when we are talking about marketing and sales and getting investment and stuff like that, most people will look at it from the, I call it the corporate point of view. Okay, so why would a hedge fund or some angel investor will invest in me? What's their ROI? What's their numbers? Okay, so this is how we used to look at it. But actually, decision making is a very personal and emotional process. So if we want to influence, if we want to get people to listen to us, we want to follow the emotional path. And I'll explain how we do this. But we want to follow the emotional path much more than the rational path. Okay, so if we want to go the emotional path, the more information we'll have about the people we are trying to approach, we will be better. So we can use tools like LinkedIn. Okay, LinkedIn is a very powerful tool to know a lot about people. We can see what they share. We can see what they published. We can see what they like. Okay, so this is a very, very good, very powerful instrument. We can use a very sophisticated hacking tool called Google. So we want to Google the people we actually trying to approach and get as much information as we can about these people. Anywhere we can find information about the decision makers we are trying to approach is good. And we want to do the numbers. We want to have as much information as we can about the people we want to approach. And then we can go ahead. And the first thing we want to understand or we want to cover is that you and I and all of us are not interesting. So when I present my startup or my technology or my product or my service, we're always very enthusiastic about this product, service, startup, whatever. So and a lot of time we are emotionally invested in this thing we are pitching. But to the other side, our product, our technology, our service, our startup, our history, none of this is interesting. Okay? For the other side, what's interesting is their problems, the things they want, the things they want to achieve, the results they want to get. So we have to be looking at the world through their eyes and not through our eyes. Okay? And when we try to get someone to listen to us, we have to remember that we are not interesting. Okay? We have to think about what's interesting for the other side. Now, one piece of how our mind is working, and this is very important, because it affects our decision making. And as I said, decision making is very emotional, but there's one part of our brain we want to know. Okay, so I want to introduce you to the RAS. RAS is reticular activating system. It's a part of our brain. It's in the stem of our brain. It's called RAS because it looks like a net. That's why you call it reticular. So it's some kind of processing mechanism we have in our brain, which actually is the device or the part of our brain that is in charge of switching us from sleep to awake. Okay? So this is what this part of our brain is doing. But actually, in the modern world, this part of our brain is used by us as a filter. Okay? So this part of our brain can process information 400 times faster than our other parts of the brain. And this part decides which information is going to process and which information we can be exposed to, but we will not give it any real attention. Now, this is something that is very, very important to understand. We can be talking to someone. He can be invested in the conversation. He can nod, he can respond, he can reply at sometimes, but he is not really listening. Okay? So if the RAS didn't decide that this material, the things that he's hearing, is important and they will go to process, he can be there, but he will not remember anything after that conversation. Okay, and it happened to all of us. You can think about a situation when you're watching a commercial on TV, and you watch the commercial, 4 or 5 minutes later, the commercial starts again. You recognize it, you know you saw it, but you cannot remember what it was about. Okay, so we all know that. This is the RAS. Now, in the modern world, if this mechanism would not exist, we would go crazy because we are exposed to hundreds, sometimes thousands of messages every day, and we have to filter. So when I want to interest someone, when I want to capture someone's attention, I need to make sure they're really listening. Okay? So it's not just getting someone to answer the phone or answer our email and say, okay, send me an email with some more information, and then we will never hear about them again. We want to get them not just to listen. We want to get them in a position where they are in attention, where their RAS decide that this is important enough to go to process, so they will understand, really listen to what we are saying, and think about it and process it. That's why just getting a reply is a lot of times is not enough. Okay, so we want people to actually listen to us. So let's talk about how we do this. Okay, and I'm going to share with you, as I said, 6 elements of influence, or tactics if you want, and we can use each one of them separately, or we can use some of them or all of them if it's possible. So I will share with you these 6 elements, and then I'll give you some examples of how we used it in real life with real companies or startups that wanted to get the attention of decision makers in foreign markets or in completely new markets. So the first thing I want to talk about is we have to know what these people want. The people on the other side, these decision makers we are approaching, we want to understand what they want. Now, want is the key word. Okay, so I don't know how many of you ever been in a sales training. Okay, but in sales training, they teach us to understand the customer's needs. Okay, and a lot of people, this is what they're doing. If they want to approach some decision makers, or they want to pitch some product or service, they think, okay, what do these people need? Okay, but we never buy what we need. We never do anything that we need. We do what we want. Okay, so sometimes these things are aligned. So what we want and what we need is the same, but people do what they want, never what they need. And this is something we have to understand, and we can use that. Okay, so I need to know the people I'm approaching, and I want to be as personal as I can. So if I ask some entrepreneurs, what do your investor want? Most of them will say they will want to make money. They will want a high return on investment. They will want low risk investment. So these are what people usually talk about, okay? But actually, what we want, each and every one of us, is much, much more personal. And this whole thing, this whole approach, need to be much, much more personal. So if someone has a special cause that they are supporting, or they are touched by, I want to know that. And if someone has kids in certain age, I want to know that. If someone is interested in some typical field, I want to know that. So I want to know as much as I can about these people, and I'm going to use this. And I'll give you examples of how we are going to use this. But we want to know what these people want. Okay? They all want money. They all want return on investment. They all want lower risks. They all want to grow their business, or to find some new solutions. But this is not enough. If we only talk about that, we are like everybody else. And we want to be different. I'll talk about it in a second. So we want to be different, and we want to be able to present more than that. So if I know someone is, I don't know, interested in saving the oceans, I want to know that. Okay? So it's not like I'm going to small talk about it, and this is the way I'm going to get their attention. But I want to know that, and I will show you how these things how they can be used in a second. So the second thing I want to talk about is you want to be different. Now everybody's talking about be different. You know, ever since this became like Apple's slogan or descriptor, everybody wants to be different. But there are there's more than one way to be different. And be different is not only be different in your product or service, is also be different by the way you present it, or in the process that you do to present products or service or your startup or whatever. So if I want to approach someone and I approach them the same way everybody else is doing it, I'm just one of the herd, okay? But if I find a way to do this differently, to do something that they do not expect, to get their attention in some different kind of way, I will be visible, much more than anybody else. So if everybody is sending emails, going to meetups, picking up the phone, it doesn't mean I don't want to do this, but I want to do more, or I want to do something else, or some things else that are different, okay? one thing about being different, you want to be different. You don't want to be weird, okay? So if I'm going to some, let's say I'm going to some conference or some meetup and I want people to remember me, okay? So I can come with an orange jumpsuit, okay? Everybody will remember the weird guy that came with wearing an orange jumpsuit. But if I go dressed like everybody else is, then the chance that someone will remember me is very, very, very low. So if I go wearing a suit with an orange stripe on the side from my neck to my foot, then people will remember this. This is something distinguished. So you want to be a little different. You don't want to be weird, but you don't want to be like anybody else. Now, this is actually being different is actually something that we cannot, as humans, we cannot resist that. When we encounter something different, we respond to that. Actually, this is how we make decisions. If we have to choose between two products or two services, the way we are making that decision is about what's different between them and not what's similar between them. So, and when something is different and it's something that we value, this is how we will choose, okay? So we want to be different, we don't want to be weird, but we want to be different in more than our product or our service because everybody else is doing it. Everybody else is positive that they're absolutely assured that their product or service is also different. So this is not enough. We want to be different in the way that we are approaching these people to get their attention. And once again, I'll give examples right ahead. So the third thing we want to talk about is about mutuality, okay? Or it's also known as creating goodwill. So if I want to ask something of someone, the best thing I can do is do something for them first, okay? So this is, once again, how we as humans are thinking and making decisions. So if someone helped me, I will want to help them, okay? This is, we are creating the will to help us at the other side. Now, a lot of people asking at this point, okay, but what can I do for someone I don't know? And sometimes people trying to do things that are a little creepy, okay? So I'll find out what these people want, what this decision maker wants, and I'll send them to their house. No, this is not the way we want to do it, but there are a lot of things we can do to make people feel they want to pay us back, okay? So we can, once again, we need to know them as good as we can, and there are things that everybody wants. There are things that they specifically will want, and we're going to use this. And once again, I'll give example. But I want to put like a focus on that for a second, because this is something most people will not do. Okay, this is something most people either think is not really valuable, or it's a little hard to find a way to do that. So this is where we want to be creative, and this is where we want to bust our minds about how can we help these people, how can we do something for them. Every time someone, either someone you know or someone you don't know, did something for you, you feel the need for gratitude or for doing something for them. So we use this actually in the world of sales. This is one of the most strong secret weapons. So if I can find a way to do something for my customer before he becomes a customer, the chance that he will buy from me is tremendously higher. So this is something worth thinking about it, bust our mind about it, put an effort to it, do brainstorm about this, use other people's minds, and find a way to do things for the decision makers you want to approach before you ask them for their attention, or while you ask them for their attention. And once again, I'll give examples in a second. So this is the third influential element of getting the attention of decision makers. Now, the next part is, it seems obvious, okay? So when we ask for someone's attention, or when we pitch some product or service, we need to show justification, okay? So if I ask someone to invest in my startup, or I ask someone to look into my product or service and see if it's fit for their needs, I need to show justification. Now, here's when it gets tricky. There are two kinds of justification. One is the business justification. Okay, so why is it good for the other side's business or for their organization or for their fund or whatever? But there's a different kind of justification, which is the personal justification. And everybody, all of us, we are humans, okay? So every human being, when we decide to do something, one of the questions we are asking ourselves, even if I'm making a decision for an organization or for a fund or for a business, there's one question I ask myself, not always I'm aware that I'm asking this question, but it's always there, is what's in it for me? Okay? Personally, what do I personally gain from that? And if I can show, when I pitch someone something, if I can show business justification, which has to be there. So if it's not good for the business or the organization or the fund, then people will not do anything. But if I can show not only a business justification, but also a personal justification, the door opens, okay? And one more thing to remember. Human beings, all of us, no matter what position we are, if you are a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, if you are an angel investor, if you are making a decision for a medium-sized company, it doesn't matter. All of us, for all of us, the personal justification is more important than the business justification. It's stronger. We will never admit it. At least most of the people will never admit it. We will never admit it to ourselves, not just to somebody else. But the personal justification is much, much stronger. Okay? And once again, I'll show you examples of how we used it in real life and made people listen, not just listen, but make decisions to buy a specific service. So when you think about presenting something to a decision maker, whether it's an investor, some buyer, or someone you want to pitch some solution, you want to think business justification, which most of us do. But you also want to think personal justification of the person you want to get their attention or you want them to make a decision. Sometimes there's more than one person that involved in making a decision, so you need to know more than one person, or you have to find the person that can influence this decision the most. It's not always the highest ranking person that involved in this process. There's always someone who can make that deal happen. So this is the person, or if you can, for more than one person, it's better, that you need to show personal justification, not only business justification. Now, the fifth element of influence is create intrigue. Now, this is something we used to like. We all understand it, okay? When something is intriguing for us, when something has a little mystery, we always want to learn more or to listen to it. So think about it in terms of TV series, okay? A good TV series every chapter ends with what we call a cliffhanger, okay? So there's something that happens that leaves you want to know more, okay? So this will make you this will make you wait for the next chapter, or hit play on the next chapter if it's already on Netflix or HBO, wherever you watch your series. So we want to use that, and we want to create intrigue. So when we pitch something and we want someone to listen to us, we don't want to give the full information head first. So we want to be interesting. We want to be a little mysterious even. So people can ask themselves, okay, this is interesting, but how does it work? What exactly is that? How did you get that to do this or to get this result? Okay, so the key element in creating intrigue is to get the other people, the people on the other side, asking questions. They can ask you those questions. They can ask themselves these questions. But the most important thing is you want to make them ask questions. The best questions is, okay, I want to hear more about that, or how did you do that? How is this working? Even some questions like, this sounds weird. Is it really working? This sounds too good to be true. Is it really working? These are good kind of questions. So any question that that shows interest is a good question. So when you present something, if you're making a phone call, or you're sending an email, or you're sending a letter, or you're pitching in at some roadshow, or whatever, okay? Wherever or however you present your message, think about how you create intrigue, how you only present the needed information for people to ask questions. You don't want to give them all the information. You want to give them enough information to make them interested and ask, okay, I want to hear more, okay? And once again, this a lot of time, you need to be a little creative here, but this is something you want to think about and you want to implement in your efforts of getting the attention of decision makers. Once again, in foreign markets, same thing as in other markets. It's just much, much more important because you come a lot of time from a disadvantage. So this was the fifth element of influence. And the last one is to show proof and or social proof. Now, proof is a very known element of influence or of persuasion. So if I can show proof that, any kind of proof, that what I'm saying is working, either if it's about the product or service, so I can show research, I can show clients' testimonials, I can show anything that shows that this thing actually delivers its promise is good. I can use proof about myself or the people behind this project, okay, and their history and what they've done before. And I can use social proof, okay? Social proof is not an actual proof that it's working, but it shows that other people are using it too, okay? And this is very, very important because most people will not want to be like guinea pigs, okay? They don't want you to try your products or services on them. They want something that feels safe to move on with. So in a weird kind of brain manipulation, well, it seems sometimes not logic even, but if we see a lot of people using something, we think it's good, okay, or it's good enough. And if we see people we know use this product or service or something, it's even stronger. And if we see celebrities use that, it's even stronger, even though it says nothing about whether this product is really good or not. But if someone that we know is using this, this is a good sign, okay? Now, proof not always exists, especially if it's something in development or if it's a new product or service. Social proof also not always exists, but if it exists, we want to use this, and we want to find a way to put it into our message. And there's actually a way to create social proof, even if you don't have social proof. I'll talk about it in a few moments. So, so we want to show proof, any kind of proof that we have that this thing is working or that it's a good decision to use our product or service, or it's a good decision to make business with me or with us, and or social proof, okay? Other people are using it, other people are, a lot of people or people that you know already used it and they're happy about it, or you know what, even just used it. We don't even have to show that they're happy about it. So, so these are very, very strong elements of influence. When we use proof and social proof, it will be much easier for the other side to give us their attention and actually say, okay, we want to hear more. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, and this is what we want. We want to capture their attention and have them listen to us and listen to what we have to say. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how it's working in real life, and I'm going to give you real examples of how we helped companies and startups push their products or service into new markets, okay, into foreign markets, into markets they've never been before, and how we used those 6 elements of influence to help us do that and help us get their attention and help us get them to listen to us and say, okay, this is interesting, we want to hear more. So the first example, this is one of my favorite actually, because this was some startup that had new technology. It involves something very boring, but with a lot of money involved. It's managing facilities, like big facilities, airports, train station, government facilities, very large buildings with a lot of people going in and out of every day. And they had amazing product that nobody knows. It's actually some kind of technology or service or whatever you want to call it that nobody knows. And they wanted to bring this into new market. And they actually talked with me about doing some online campaign and putting out the message. And the first thing I did, like I always do, is the numbers. And I said, okay, so how many decision makers you want to approach? How many decision makers we want to reach even? And they say that the market that they want to put this technology to, it has about 400 decision makers that are relevant to this product or service. Now, 400 people is not a lot. Well, once again, each one of them is worth a lot of money, but there's not it's not a lot of people. And actually, in terms of online campaign, it's actually impossible to do an online campaign to 400 people. So we had to think about something else. And I said, okay, 400 people is a very small group of people. What's the budget? How much do you want to invest in reaching these 400 people? And we started doing the math of, it was a game of guessing. It was a lot of guessing involved with how much will one client will worth. It can be anywhere from tens of thousands of euros to hundreds of thousands of euros every year. But we try to understand, and we try to be very careful and not spend too much money. But we figured out that we are talking about a budget for the first move to have these 400 people know about this product of 60,000 euros. Now, it's a very small budget in terms of a move like that, but it's a lot of money if you understand what you're doing. So what we did, we thought, okay, we need them to listen to us. What will be the best way to do it, and not call each one of them, because cold calling is not a very good tactic. So we figured out we want them to watch a video. These guys showed me a video of this amazing video about this technology and how it's working and how it saves a lot of money. And the video was done it was very, very well done. And we said, okay, we need them to watch this video. We want to make sure they watch this video. And instead of putting it on YouTube and starting emailing them and send them, listen, there's something you need to see, and put a link and send them, well, some of them will watch that, but we wanted more than that. So what we ended up doing is we bought 400 tablets. Actually, we did in four periods. Like, we bought 100 tablets, uploaded the video onto that tablet, and send with a courier the tablet to each and one of these decision makers. So think about yourself as some facility manager or a decision maker about airports or maintenance of airports or stuff like that. And a courier comes and gives you a padded envelope, and you open it, and inside there's a tablet. And on the tablet, within the tablet, there's like a small letter that says, hey, we needed you to watch something, so we uploaded into the tablet. Just it's on the main screen. Just hit play and watch it. And by the way, you can keep the tablet. So this is creating mutuality. Okay? We said we want to do something for someone before we actually ask them to do something for us. This is how we accomplished it in this instance. So we gave them a tablet. It might sound like something very expensive, but actually, a tablet, when you buy 100, a tablet is not that it was a 7-inch tablet. It wasn't that expensive. And we got 100 people to watch our video, and not only watch our video, they were in a position where they want to do something for us. So after that happened, we followed up. Well, they followed up with a call. All people answered their call. Okay, 100% of the people answered the call. Not all of them, not with all of them, they got a meeting, but they got meetings and they closed deals. Why? Because those people listened to them and got their message in a way that created mutuality and actually made them want to give something back. So if I can do that, it's not always possible, but if I have a way of doing that, this is working amazingly. Think about how busy these people are. How many people approach them to pitch them with products and services. These people decide on huge budgets every month and every year. So they are very busy people with their work and very desired people. A lot of people are trying to talk to them and to pitch them with products and services. So if you would just send some letter or send some email, most of them would probably not even watch it. But the way we did it, we made them watch it, and not only watch it, we created the want, the goodwill, and the want to give back. And after that, the follow-up was really, really, really easy, and it was easy to get meetings, and it was relatively easy to get deals. Of course, where people found out that the product or service is good. This will not replace your product or service. If the product or service is not fit or not good, nobody will buy it. But this act got their attention and put them in position. They want to give back, and follow-up was really, really, really easy. Okay, so this is one example to how to implement those elements of influence. So one more example is a company called Healthier Globe. They're dealing with medical supply, and Rani, the owner of the company, wanted to reach into new markets, specifically the markets of the East. By the way, this was a few years ago. Today, the company is very well operating in the markets of the East. They even help other entrepreneurs and other companies do business in the East. But at that point of time, they had no business in markets like Japan and Taiwan and China, and they wanted to get there. So they found a specific point that was very interesting for people, and this is once a year there's a show called Medica. It's the biggest show of the medical supply and medical devices industry, and people from all over the world, companies from all over the world are presenting there, and Healthier Globe wanted to catch their attention. Okay, so what we ended up doing is, what Rani ended up doing is a very smart campaign on LinkedIn that approached decision makers in companies that were going to present in Medica. Okay, and this was a very simple campaign. It created intrigue. Okay, so it has value, of course, for the decision makers, but it was built in a way in layers, that each layer created intrigue. So the first thing they saw was an ad or a post that says that if you're going to show in Medica, or if you're going to present in Medica, here are 10 questions you have to ask yourself to make the best out of this show. So there's two things to understand here. First, this is something that Rani know they want. Okay, he know they wanted this. They wanted, if you're going to a show like Medica, to present in a show like Medica, you invest a lot of money in it, a lot of effort, manpower, time. So you want this to succeed. Okay, so knowing what they want, we caught them in a very, very good timing to get them to listen. And then we created intrigue. 10 questions you have to ask yourself before you present at Medica to make sure that you make the best out of this show. And this ad was, in terms of click-through rate and how many people that saw the ads actually clicked it and went to the next phase, was the click-through rate was extremely high. And when they got to the landing page, or it was actually kind of an article that says, okay, here are 10 questions you have to ask yourself. And those 10 questions were things that people not usually ask themselves. Okay, so say, okay, I didn't think about that, and then they read the second. Oh, I didn't think about that either, and okay, I don't know how to answer that. So this was built in a way that create even more desire to understand more and even more intrigue. And then at the bottom there was, okay, so if you have questions about any of these questions and you want to know more about how you can get the best results out of Medica, leave your details here and we'll call you. So very high click-through rate, very high conversion rate. Why? Because we created intrigue. It was interesting for them. They did not know what was going to be next, but we captured their curiosity. Okay, we got them curious and we got them wanting to know more. Okay, in terms of return on investment, this campaign was extremely successful. Ronnie got like 8 new clients from markets he never worked with and never had clients in them before, and this was a very smart move that involved creating intrigue, understand what people want, and as I said, it was very different in the way that he did it. If he would put an ad that said, we can help you get the best results of your Medica experience, it will not get results as good as this campaign. So we understand what they wanted, we created intrigue and then create more intrigue, and then we got people in a point. They wanted to talk to Ronnie and know and understand what this thing is about. Okay, these questions are interesting, so how do I do that? How do I know that? And this made them in a point, got them into the point that they gave Ronnie their attention, and once again, not only he got their attention, they were in a position that they wanted to know more and they wanted to proceed. So closing a sale was relatively easy. It's never easy to close a sale, but it was much easier than if we approach some clients or some market that nobody knows us at and trying to pitch from, okay, buy my product or buy my service. So the next example I want to give you is a company. It's actually an American company that wanted to enter the Israeli market, and they approached us and they wanted to present a new technology that helps organizations train their employees better. Now, it was the technology was very interesting. It was some new way to do things, but actually this is something that has a lot of competition. There's a lot of companies. There are hundreds of companies that can help companies or organizations train their employees or their staff or whatever. So it was a very hard pitch. But when we thought about it and we said, okay, let's think about who in those organizations are the relevant decision makers, who need to hear this, who is going to use this technology. And we understood that this is people in the HR department. Okay? In bigger organizations, there will be something who is in charge of training, and in a smaller organization, it can be something like an HR manager. But these are the people that we need to approach. These are the people that can push this product and make all the other decision makers listen. Okay, so we knew who they are, and then we asked ourselves, okay, what they want. Okay, how do we help them? How do we do something for them? And when we started interviewing these people, something came up. Nobody said it straight out. Nobody said, this is what's happening. But we could hear this between the words, okay? And this was that a lot of times, these people that are in charge of training and people in the HR department feel like they are underappreciated. And we heard that when we talk to them. When we're starting to do some campaign like this or some move like that, we always go to talk to the decision makers we actually want to pitch after. So we interview them and we try to understand what they think about. And it was very present that this happens, that they feel, a lot of them feel unappreciated. They feel that they work really, really, really hard. They feel that they are making a lot of impact on the organization and that their bosses are never happy with what they're doing. There's always something that they are not happy about. So we brought this back and said, okay, this is what's happening. Let's think about how we are helping them and how we create mutuality and how we create their want to proceed. And actually what we did is this company, they added to their product, they have like report generator. Okay, so if you use this software, then you can create reports that shows the progress of the employees and give them scores and whatever. And actually what they did, they transformed that thing to create reports that not only show the results, but it shows a report that is attended to the management. And this report has the training manager or the HR manager in charge. It's like a report from them to the management. See what we did. It has his or hers photo on it and their details. It's like a report from me as a training manager to my bosses or to my management. And this was crazy. Like, we went to pitch to these HR managers or training managers, and the first thing we showed on the presentation is the reports. So this was the first slide. And it was like on opening, said, oh, this is the reports we are generating that you can send to your managers, but we'll talk about it later. And we created intrigue, and we showed them personal justification. Okay? Not only business justification, this will help your organization train your employees better. This is personal justification, how we help you as a training manager to show your bosses how good a job you're doing. And actually show them, measure the progress that you're doing, and show it in a way that puts you in the middle. Okay? And this went crazy, crazy. This was a huge success. We showed them the technology and everything in the presentations, but what they wanted to hear about was the reports. Show me again how this is working, and how do I do that? And so, oh, you just a click of a button. You just upload your photo and your details one time, and then every time you're creating a report, this is how it looks. And we showed them another report and another report, and it's all with them on it. And they loved it. They loved it, and this was a huge success. And it was a huge success mostly because we showed the personal justification. The product is good. The software is good. Is very good. I'm sure there are other softwares which are good. Actually, we got to something that is really hard to do. We got organizations to change the softwares they are already using to this one because someone pushed it hard enough because they had a personal justification to do that. So this is another example of how we use those elements of influence. So we knew what they want. We understood there. We did a lot of intelligence. We understand what their problem is. We looked at the world through their eyes and said, okay, this is how we create personal justification for them to implement our solution. And this worked amazingly. And I want to give you one more example before we continue. And this was a company they called Landolini. They do something very boring. They do automation of QA processes for companies that are producing, I don't know how you call it even, like chips and parts for the cellular industry, the cell phone industry. So something very niche, but with a very large audience. Completely new company, wants to reach markets they've never been before. They've never sold to anybody, but they tried to reach companies that they are global manufacturers of cellular components or whatever you call it. So we thought about how we do it. How do we make those decision makers even listen to someone they don't know, they never heard of? It's a solution they've never implemented. It's not some a shiny new technology. It's a solution that needs to be. It needs a lot of effort to implement. It's worth a lot of money in terms of return on investment. It makes the QA process much more efficient, faster, and with much less returns or much less errors. So this is something people want, but it needs a lot of effort to implement this, and sales cycles were very long. Sales cycles is the time between we get someone to listen to our offer and said, okay, I'm interested, to the time there's a sale. We can close the sale. So sales cycles of months, and this was very hard. And what we did there with Landolini, we helped the owner create some kind of white paper. Okay? It was a white paper that presented this QA process, that automation of a QA process, but not from the point of view of an engineer, which are the people who will use it, but from the point of view of a CEO or a CTO. Okay? So the people who are the most important decision makers. So if I'm a CEO of a medium-sized company or the CTO of a larger company that needs that solution, I don't mind how it's working. Okay? I want faster, cheaper, less mistakes, and give me a better product at the other end without investing more money, without it being more expensive. So this is what is interesting for me. And David, the owner, he wrote this white paper, and we sent this white paper to the relevant decision makers. Now, no one knew this guy. Okay, so it might be interesting, but we knew that most of them will not read it if we want to do something interesting. So what we did is we used social proof. But we didn't have social proof. So what we actually did is we sent this white paper to the most known, the biggest, the decision makers in the biggest and most known companies of this field. And then everybody else that we send it to, we send it once again. We put it in an envelope, printed version, not in an email. We send it with a FedEx courier, so it had the decision maker name on the envelope. And once again, put it in your mind. Imagine this. You're sitting in your office, you're very busy. A courier comes and hands you a FedEx, like those cardboard envelopes, and you open it, and there's something inside, and it has your name on it. You read it, at least the first page. Okay? So this is how we did it. And on this first page, we said that this is something that is very important to read, and we gave like the most important reason to read this thing. But what we emphasized is that this report has been sent by now to 150, I don't remember the exact number, let's say 150 decision makers in your field, including, and we mentioned the names of the very known people or the very known companies that we send this report to. So we created social proof without having any social proof. We created it from zero. But it was true. It was sent to them. We never said that they read it or whatever. But when I received something and I said, oh, this was, okay, these guys from Nokia read it. This is interesting. Okay? So we actually never said they read it. We said that it was sent to. And I don't want to be left behind. If all these people got this, I want to read it too. And we got people to read it, and then we followed up. And in the follow-up, we said we can present this, how it's working, and do an evaluation of how much will it cost you to implement this, and if it fits for your company. And some percentage, it's always a low percentage, yeah, of the person who read this actually said, okay, let's meet. And there were meetings, and of course, after a few months, there were sales. So once again, approaching decision makers in foreign markets. Nobody knows this guy or this company. Very new solution, interesting, very valuable, but also needs a lot of effort and investment in implementing. So it's not something that people will say, hey, I want this. But we made them listen. We got their attention. And once we were in, it was easier. Once you have the door open and some CTO say, okay, let's meet. I want to say this. I want to see how this is working. Okay, and this is how we did it. So we created social proof out of nothing, and this social proof actually got people to read. And then when they read, it was written in a way that showed them their benefits and showed them how it solves their problem without getting into how we do it. So once again, creates intrigue, and this whole process at the end created new clients for new company in a foreign market, totally unknown to this market, and it worked. So this is how we are using, of course, there's much more examples. This is how we are using those elements of influence in our efforts to penetrate or to do business in foreign markets. Now, one thing I want to mention, like This is how we use these elements of influence and how we implement them in our efforts to do business in foreign markets, in new markets, and help our clients get business in new markets. Now, these things if you want to implement them, you need to be creative. You don't need to be like any kind of a genius or whatever. We are not. You just have to think, okay? And think, not just think, okay, how do I get these people to listen to me? Think in the perspective of these elements of persuasion or elements of influence, okay? So ask yourself, what do they want? What do these people, those decision makers, what do they want? And how can I be in alignment of these things? How can I use those things they want and help them solve their problems and help them get their goals or results that they want, or whatever that is. So how do I do that? How am I making it different? Not only my product or service, but the process. How do I approach them in a different way? How do I send them my materials in a different way? How do I do things that looks different? They say, okay, this is interesting. Let's see what that is. Okay. How do I create mutuality? How I do something for them before I ask them to listen to me or to do something for me, or while I'm asking them to do something for me or to listen to me? How do I show justification? Both business justification and personal justification, okay? And how do I use proof or social proof? These are the questions I need to ask. If I'm thinking in the perspective of these questions, I will find a way. Okay, sometimes those ideas will come really fast. Sometimes they need some little more thinking or brainstorming. Don't do this by yourself. Use your team. Actually, the best people to get their perspective is people that are on the other side. If you know people, it doesn't have to be even if this market that you are trying to reach. But if you know people who are buyers or people who are investors or people like the people you want to approach, ask them, okay? How can I do that? What would you want me to do for you, okay? And get their perspective on it, and just make lists of ideas, and you will see that there are a lot of endless ways to do that. And when we start doing this, when we start doing things differently, when we start doing things in a way that people do not expect, and when we start doing things in a way that creates these emotional triggers and move people in a way that is different from what they used to, we can open doors even in markets, in foreign markets, markets that don't know us, and even markets that a little look up on us and say, okay, these guys are coming from a place that is not that interesting. Still, if we do these things right, we can make them listen to us. Okay? Now, two more things I want to address before we finish. The first is how you present your offer. Now, I'm not going to talk about how to write your offer or what to say. This is a different topic for a different presentation. But one thing is very important to understand. When we are trying to get the attention of a decision maker, especially in a foreign market, this is a process. Okay? This is not a one-time shoot. So a lot of people say, okay, I'll write them an email or I'll call them, and if this guy is on the other side of, well, he picks up the phone and he's talking to me, I'll say everything I have to say because this might be the last chance I have to talk to this guy. So they're trying to present as much information as possible, and this is a mistake. Okay? When we want to present an offer or a pitch, or we want to offer something to someone, once again, it can be a buyer, it can be a decision maker, it can be an investor. We want to break down the process. And in each part of the process, we only want to share the information that is needed to get to make the decision to move to the next one. So this process can be like I'm approaching someone either by mail or by FedEx envelope or by phone. It doesn't matter. All I want to do is get a reply. If I send an email, okay, the only thing I want to do is get a reply. I don't care what this reply is. It doesn't have to be, okay, let's meet. It can be, okay, that's interesting. Okay, can you tell me more about that? That's all I want to get. I want to get a reply. And once I get a reply, I want to get a meeting. Okay? And once I get a meeting, I will pitch my offer. So don't try to go from 0 to 100. Don't try to throw everything you have to say on someone at the first opportunity, or in the first email, or in the first time you mail them something. Don't do that. Break the process to layers or to stages, okay? And in each stage, you only want to share the information or tell whatever it's needed for the other side to say, okay, I'm ready to move to the next step, okay? Create intrigue between the steps, okay? Send an email that creates a lot of intrigue, show something that is very interesting, show very clear profits or something that can help solve a problem, and create intrigue and wait for a reply. I like ending emails in a question, okay? So a specific question, and get a reply. If you don't get a reply, do it again. I'll talk about it in a second. But get a reply. You got a reply? Okay, now you are moving for a meeting. Okay, let's meet and we'll show you more. And once again, create intrigue. In the meeting, we're going to show you something very interesting. This is what it is, or this is what it's doing. Don't say how it's working. Get the meeting. Once you're in the meeting, you can pitch your offer or your product or your service or the investment you're asking for. But if you do it this way, it shows like a longer way. It's actually the shorter way. You will get much more meetings this way than to send emails or phone calls or pitch to people you meet with everything you have to say on the first opportunity. So this is one thing which is very, very important. The other thing, I guess I'm not saying anything new now, but this is actually the key. The key is persistence. Okay, the key is doing it again and again and again and again. Someone said no. Remember, in the world of sales, and this is a sale. In the world of sales, a no is not now. Okay, and if someone didn't reply to your email, well, don't bother them. Okay, but call them. Wait a week and call them. And if they didn't take your call, send another email. If they didn't answer the email, send them an envelope. Be persistent. People appreciate that. If you don't do it, well, if you send an email every day, well, this might be a little creepy and people will not want to talk to you. But if you're showing persistence, you will get there. Okay? Be patient. Do things well, put spaces between efforts or between each time you try to contact this person. Do it in different ways, in different medias, email, letter, phone, SMS, Viber, WhatsApp, whatever, however you send your messages. And each time, say something else. If you send an email and you send another email, don't send the same email. Once again, be different. Be a little creative. And you will see that eventually, when you do this and you're persistent, it can take time. Sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it can take months. But if it's some decision maker that is important for you to get their attention, just do it. Okay? It can take a lot of time, but it takes very little effort to do that. So get as much information about them as you can and start interacting with them again and again and again and again in different medias with spaces between each message or call, but do it again and again and again. Now, one thing that coming from the world of sales over the phone, okay, when you work in a call center, you see some very interesting phenomena. Okay, so we have people leave their details on a website or on a landing page and said, okay, this product is interesting, please contact me. And some representative is picking up the phone and is dialing. And on the other side, the potential customer is picking up the phone and say, hi, this is Moty from company XYZ. You left your details on our website. You were interested in this and that product. And then the representative is getting screamed at. Like, really screamed at, like, why are you calling me? Stop calling me, stop bothering me, and screams, and the customer hangs up. Okay? This happens. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happens like in a big call center, it happens once a day at least. So this happens, and usually the representatives, they say, okay, they delete this this person from the database, and they write this person is not relevant. Now here's where it gets interesting. When I'm working with salespeople in call centers, I'm saying, okay, this is what you have. Why did you put here non-relevant? So this guy screamed at me. He shouted at me, and he screamed at me not to call him. I said, okay, wait 2 days and call him again. And I always get that look from salespeople. Are you crazy? What do you mean call him again? The guy shouted at me and said, don't call me again. Wait 2 days, call him again. And then sometimes I give someone else to call them because the guy was so traumatized by those screams, he don't want to call them again. But someone is calling this person. And they say, hi, this is Moty from company XYZ. You left your details on our website. They don't mention, this is how I instruct, don't mention the other call. Just do the same call again. And now this guy is talking to them. Oh yeah, I wanted to hear something. And this looks crazy. It seems unreal. Well, 2 days ago, this guy screamed at us not to call him. And now he's listening and he's engaged and he wants to hear. You have to meet people, or you have people to meet your message in the right timing. And the right timing has nothing to do with you. It's about them and what kind of day they're going through and what's on their minds. And sometimes you will get them nervous, and you'll get them with zero wanting to listen to anybody, and they just want to finish their day and go home. And 2 days or 3 days or 2 weeks later, you'll get them in a better mood and in a better situation, and they will listen. So if you get ignored, do it again. If you hear no, wait a little and do it again. Don't ask for the same thing. If you ask for a meeting and someone said no, don't ask for another meeting. But send something interesting. Send some say, you know, in our call you mentioned this and that. Here's something interesting that our product knows how to do. Here's how someone in your field used our product to get a result. Send relevant information, interesting information. But keep this going. This is a relationship, okay? And persistence is the key here. Again and again and again and again. Of course, if someone asks you politely not to contact and say, listen, this is not relevant, please stop sending me emails. Of course, you stop sending them emails. But, and this will happen, actually. This will happen, but it will be a very, very small percentage of the people you address. And if you do it in a way that is persistence but not harassing, you will get results. So just like to sum up everything we talked about today, so we started with, when we start a move like that we want to reach a new market, we start from the numbers, okay? We start from understanding how much we can spend on one client. When we did this move with the tablets, we knew exactly how much we can spend on one client, and we estimated that from 100 people who will send tablets, we will get 2 clients. Okay, it's a very conservative estimate, and that was our estimate, and we actually got more than that at the end. It took time, but we got more than that, and we knew how much we can spend on each one. And when you look at this through this perspective, you understand that you can do that you can invest this kind of money. So we do the numbers, we gather information, as much information as we can about the decision makers we are approaching. And then we sit and think about the key elements of influence. How can we implement them in our message, in our efforts, in our process of getting a decision maker to listen to us, and not only listen to us, but give us full attention and actually be ready or willing to proceed and to talk to us about an investment, buying, whatever. And remember that when you do that process, it's a process. It's not a one shot, okay? So you do it in stages or layers. First thing you do, you only want to get a reply. So if it's in a conversation, you want them to ask you a question. If it's in an email, you want to get a reply, okay? If you send them mail, you do a follow-up by phone, and then you want to hear those questions. And it's a process, okay? Each layer, each stage your only goal is to move to the next one, okay? When you first approach someone, your goal is not to get an investment and is not to get him to implement your solution. Your only, when you do the first contact, the only goal you have is to get a reply. Okay? Think about it this way, you will get much more deals or much more progress. And we talked about the fact that persistence is the key. Don't harass people, but don't give up whenever you get ignored or hear no. Okay? Just keep it going. Keep it going. Be creative. Be different. Do different things. Don't do the same thing over and over and over. It's boring. You'll get ignored. But if you're being creative, if you think about doing it in a different way, if you think about how can you send valuable information or interesting information and create intrigue and do something for the other side and do something in a way they do not expect, this will work. Okay? Be persistent, be different, be creative. This will work. If you have any questions about this presentation or anything about getting deals or getting business in new markets, you're more than welcome to contact me. You have my email and my Viber on the screen. I promise to answer any question. I'm not always answering at the same moment or even the same day, but I always answer anything you can ask me or you want to ask me. So whatever questions you have, please feel free to contact me and ask. I had fun doing this. Hope you enjoyed it. And I really, really urge you to try it. Try implementing those elements in your efforts to gain business in new markets. Think about how you do it. Think about how you can do it better. Do it, then do it again, then do it again. You'll see results. And you'll see that getting the attention of decision makers in foreign markets, it's a tough task, but it's doable. And when you do it this way, you'll do better. So once again, I'm happy to be here, and thanks for listening, and good luck.